When I was in high school, I had a lot of these experiences. At the house my dad lived in at the time, it was really old. Built in the early 1800s, there were plenty of times I'd be sitting in the living room and distinctly hear the cabinets opening and closing in the kitchen. It was just me and my dad that lived in the house, and you could clearly see when his bedroom door was shut and he was asleep, but still hear it. Normally, my dad worked 7-3, but occasionally worked a power overnight shift. One night, he was working until 11. I was 17 at the time. Around 8 or so, I'm sitting in my room playing Borderlands and think I hear footsteps coming from the living room, which was adjacent to my bedroom, and assume my dad's home early. Go back to playing Borderlands. I keep hearing the steps, so I pause the game and listen, and the footsteps are just slowly pacing back and forth between the living room and the kitchen in a steady rhythm. I laid in bed scared and actually counted the steps. Every time it took 15 paces to the living room, 15 back to the kitchen. Had another situation at my mom's house. About 2 years prior to this, out of nowhere my alarm clock would go off at midnight every night. I assumed it was busted and got rid of it. Some didn't. Fast forward 2 years, my mom gets another brand new alarm clock for my room, also when I was 17. Suddenly, alarm goes off at midnight. I thought nothing of it, turned it off. Happened again the next night, and then my sister pointed out the old one I had that did it. So I checked and made SURE, no alarms were set. Double checked at 11:56. Sure enough, 4 minutes later my alarm goes off. Freaked out, I threw it out. That next night was my dad's night to have me. I had a buddy of mine over, and my dad was working that night. He left for work around 2 a.m., and my friend had brought over an iPod dock to listen to music on. Didn't have the clock set or anything. My friend knew nothing of the last couple nights, so I knew he wasn't just screwing with me. So about 2 minutes after my dad leaves, we hear an alarm clock coming from my room. I went in, and you know how if you just plug in a clock without setting it, the numbers just blink on and off. Well, it was doing that. As soon as I picked it up, the clock set itself to 12:00 and then just turned off by itself. Me and my friend laid down, then all of a sudden the alarm goes off again. I turn and look, and it is these weird looking letters that says get out. I had enough of this and ran downstairs. The minute I took my left foot off the steps, all the clock alarms in the house went off. The clock hands on the wall were spinning, and then all of a sudden the cabinet doors start opening and shutting, slamming back and forth louder and louder and louder. I ran outside, and then the door behind me slammed. I turned around, and the noise got louder and louder. The lights started flickering as well, and the curtains opening and shutting. I had nowhere else to go. My friend was stuck inside the house with no way to get her out. I slept on a bus bench that night, and the next morning I woke up in the hospital. I had fallen and hit my head in the middle of the night off the bus bench. Nobody found my friend, and I never stepped foot in that house again.